Welcome to the Gonzo Chronicles. I'm your host, Cyrus Alderwood, the official spokesman for Generation X. Stick around. It's going to get weird, as always. All right. And we're back for another Gonzo Chronicles. And Awesome Elizabeth is back from the jungle. Actually,
I am.
South Africa. You went on safari. Did you
hmm
bring back the head of a rhino?
No, no. You know what I found really funny? Well, not really funny, but really interesting. So you to get to the safari, you had to land in one airport and then fly to a smaller airport and drive there. But in the smaller airport, there's quite a bit of safaris on that side of the country. And all over the airport, there were these signs saying, must declare um, chainsaws. And I'm thinking, you must declare your chainsaw? How many people are coming through with chainsaws? This is weird. And then we were told by our guide, the ranger, he said, yeah, we used to have a problem with poachers, and they come in and they're going after, elephant tusks or
Rhino horns.
uh, the rhino horns, because the rhino horns in China are supposed to be aphrodisiacs. So they take the horns and they grind them down to a powder, and then they're ingested, and it's supposed to be like an aphrodisiac, sort of almost like a Viagra for Chinese men.
Well, hell, it must
And
be
the
working.
ranger's
There's
like,
It must
the
be working. There's
ranger's
over
like,
1 billion of them.
I
Apparently it's
know.
working.
Well, and the ranger, he's like, it's been scientifically proven that that is not the case. So you don't get anything out of the rhino horn. But sure enough, they will come in here and try to get them. So they hadn't seen a poacher in 15 years or so. But we started talking to him, and he's like, oh yeah, they'll come in on foot, knowing that there's prides of lions and that there's cheetahs and all these other animals that will go after them at night, but they'll come in on foot at night, and then they will get those tusks or the horns or whatever with a chainsaw as fast as they can and leave the animal there and then walk back out. And I'm like, you got to have some serious balls to go
Yeah.
into a reserve like that. It's full of predators of the big five, and you're just going to go get a tusk. But then it sort of like clicked, and I'm like, okay, that would be. But if you don't want poachers, why would it be okay to have a chainsaw in an airport?
I don't know. I mean, there's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie waiting to happen with that. But that's wild. Like, why would you have anything like that in an airport, a knife or anything? That's just pretty effed up. I was kind of blown away by the temperature there, but then I realized, wait a minute, it's winter in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So at the highest point, it was in the 70s, and then 40 at night, right?
It was, yeah. As soon as that sun went down, it got cold so fast. And the days were very tolerable. They were nice. You still wearing long pants and a sweater, but you didn't need like a winter coat or anything. Now, this was more in Cape Town, because Cape Town is much farther south than where the safaris are.
Okay.
So up by the safaris, we had a few days where it was very comfortable. I put some shorts on those days, But again, soon as the sun went down, 30 minutes later, it was easily 20 degrees cooler. I mean, it got cold fast.
Was it really uncomfortable, like out by the pool and things?
You know what? We didn't even go by the pool because it was just so cold. It wasn't anything that looked appetizing to anybody. And then we flew back to Cape Town before we came back, and we had about a week in an Airbnb, which was a crazy Airbnb. It had a full house staff of maids and a cook, and I mean, it was just crazy. And that had a pool. And the other family that we were traveling with, their boys jumped into the pool. It was freezing cold, but they're just like, we just want to jump in, just to jump in. And like, that was the closest that we got to a pool. So it way too cold for a pool.
It looked like an awesome trip. So, and you didn't come back with the horn of anything or the head of anything.
I
So
I
I
did
guess
not.
I guess it's hard to get like heads through the airport.
Yeah, no head in the airport.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. But you know what? As long as there is, but you still get caught, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're pretty much watching you pretty close in the airport. That would be tough.
You
You could
know,
get away with it on a plane a lot easier than an airport.
I was wondering, like, why would anybody want to join the Mile High Club? Because if you've been in those bathrooms, they don't look sanitary too much.
They're workable. I
Okay.
think about it every time I use the bathroom on an airplane. I'm like, there's enough space. It's workable.
You can do it. One of these days over Denver, it's on my bucket list. Speaking of bucket list, we're going to talk about places you want to go to and things you want to do on the bucket list. And I wrote a few down. I
Okay.
was going to go for a top 10, but I ran out of time. Um,
All right.
I'll kick it off because this one's kind of a cool one. I do want to drive up the East Coast and do like that my own personal lighthouse tour. And I would love to stay in a lighthouse one night. I want to go stay in one when it's storming like a mofo, just brutal outside. So,
Okay.
um, I've wanted to go on driving just around to see the beauty of the coast like that for a long time because I've seen a couple down in like the Carolinas, but just to drive up through New England and see those and like on those fishing towns and I don't know if there's anywhere like they do Airbnb on those where you can stay in one. But I don't know, it'd be kind of cool.
I want to look that up really quickly. I bet that there probably is a lighthouse Airbnb.
There's some really cool ones. The first time I ever really saw a lighthouse was I was in college and I didn't know that in this little small town in the middle of nowhere, over near this little lake, I didn't even know existed, there was a lighthouse. And I thought, well, how cool. Um,
Yeah,
and I
there
got to go,
are lighthouses on Airbnb.
oh, that's cool.
Okay.
All right, so good to know. So if I'm ever driving up the coast, I'll just watch the weather and book one.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Not hurricane weather, but something that would I don't know. The other day I think I maybe mentioned this, but I went outside the other day when it was raining and just stood there and it was so
Mm-hmm.
warm. Um,
Mm-hmm.
got a little soaked, but I'm gonna miss summer when it's gone. But I do love fall and like but when summer's gone, it's I don't know. I'll miss those summer storms and the rain. As long as the power don't get knocked out for too long, I'm good to go. But it got knocked out twice.
Fall. Oh wow, that's not fun. I remember moving from Metuchen, New Jersey to Tryon, North Carolina, and we had a snowstorm that year. And I mean, it was a good snowfall, but we went without power for about a week, and that's just it. It sucked. I was just like, what in the world? I was going through a culture shock of going from, outside of New York City to Tryon, North Carolina, where it was way slower. People said they were speaking English, but I couldn't understand a word. It was just a big old culture shock. And then I'm sitting there with absolutely nothing to do for a week without power. So I feel for you on that.
Yeah, I didn't really mind the power going out because I just sat and read. Like I said, went outside, got a little wet, then came back in, dried off. That sounded bad too, didn't it? All right, so what's one of your bucket list scenarios, your places?
Okay, well, I will say after I wrote all of them down, I realized that there's a theme. So we'll see at the end of this if you pick up on the theme. So let me start with something kind of tame. I would say Olympic Park in Washington. I've seen so many pictures of just how beautiful and pristine it is. So I don't know about camping in it, maybe RV glamping. I
Yeah,
would love to go to Olympic Park, take my RV across the country, which would be a story in itself, and spend like a week there, just finding waterfalls and hiking and enjoying everything there.
yeah, I love that idea. Another place that I thought of for this list was Oregon. If you go to on somewhere on Facebook, you can find these groups where it's Oregon waterfalls, and these are some of the most magnificent places. And just to be in nature, standing there, just listening, soaking in the ambiance of everything around you, would just be almost like magic. I could get
Mm.
lost. I could get lost standing there, not even just listening. Um, yeah. So I've thought about that a lot too, because a friend of mine actually many years ago had went out to Arizona, or not to Arizona, but Oregon. And I guess while they were out there, him and his wife, they discovered like all these different places you can go for waterfalls, and the pictures are just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, so I like that idea, Mount Olympia or Mount Olympic, or
Mhm.
what else?
Is it Olympic Park?
I think it's Olympic Park. There's actually a really cool
I think
show.
so.
Do you have Fox Weather Channel? That chance?
Yes, I do.
Okay, there's a show on the weekends called Parked, Park apostrophe D, and they go
Hmm.
to all these different parks, and like they'll do rock climbing, canoeing, whitewater rafting, all this cool stuff to experience the park itself. And I love that show. Um, I've gotten to see like Shenandoah Valley, um, somewhere out in Washington State, I forget where, um,
Yeah.
Canada, all this, but it's really, really beautiful. It's a great show. So it's fun to watch.
Hmm.
They go from the tropics to the mountains to Colorado, anywhere and everywhere in between. It was kind of fun. So what else do you have?
Well, I have Iceland. I remember a neighbor of mine a long time ago. I had the first house I owned was a townhouse. So you really get to, know your neighbors when you're living that close to them. And there was a pair of really young guys. They were best friends. And one of them was finishing up a doctorate, and I'm trying to remember what his doctorate in was in. It was a science of some sort. I know that he aspired to be a professor, but he spent some time in Iceland. He's like, it's really kind of funny because Iceland is green and Greenland is all ice.
Yeah,
So, but he was telling us about how pretty it is, and I know that they have it. What looks like to me, they have these pools of hot springs.
yeah.
So I want to go skinny dipping in an Icelandic hot spring.
That would be a probably one hell of a fun adventure.
Okay.
And everyone else there would enjoy it too.
I hope so.
Oh, but no, yeah, I've seen some of those videos. Man, that place looks pristine.
Hmm.
That and I can't remember if it's there. Maybe it's there, but maybe Norway, where you can get those little globes that you rent and lay there and watch
Oh,
the Northern Lights, the auroras.
that's that's one of them too. Yes, the Northern Lights.
That is so
Yes.
cool.
Oh my gosh.
I would just love to lay there under the stars and just
Naked.
yes and look up because I'm warm in the thing, right? So,
Hmm.
and if not, I'm covered maybe with a blanket, bear skin. Who knows?
Yeah.
Whatever I
Bear
kill in the
skin.
wild, whatever I kill in the wild. Then, uh, but yeah,
You know what? Like Bear Grylls, you're gonna climb into the body and like where? Did you see that
no.
one? Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He
that
was on some
sounds.
sort of adventure. You remember that extreme show that he had where it's
Yeah,
like
I do remember.
extreme wild? Yeah, so he was in a part of the world, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but he had to kill something. He killed like a gazelle or something like that. But it got so far below freezing at night that he had to climb into the carcass to stay warm. So he did, because he's Bear Grylls. But it's like, oh, no.
Wow. Wow. Okay. That's gross. But yeah, I don't want to be like, a freshly killed bear. But yeah, that would be that would be cool. The Aurora Borealis and just lay there and watch that. Just that'd be,
Mhm.
I don't know. Go to heaven that night, man. That'd be great. Then let's see. I want to get, in the redwoods, the forest, they always have that place where like the tree was so big across the road that they had to like hollow that out so cars could drive under it. I want to be there with these giant redwoods in the forest where you drive under the tunnel that's sawed into the tree, and like
I've never
not
heard of that.
and no other tourists around, just right there in the nature, just listening to everything, the smell of the pines, smell of the trees, just nature at its
That's
best.
so cool. I've never heard that.
Yeah, this giant tree, when they were trying to put the road through, they could not move the tree. It was so big that they did not have any equipment to move the tree. So where the road was supposed to go through, they carved it to make it a tunnel so that cars and SUVs could fit under. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So they just drive straight through the tree, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
pretty cool. Yeah, I think that would be like an awesome place to be. I've seen that on TV and pictures many times, and it's like, well, that would be a place to go just to see, especially those giant redwoods. What kind of
Yeah.
experience would that be? I mean, there's nothing like that on this planet except,
No, there really isn't.
wow.
Yeah. Well, I've always wanted to go to Greece, and especially, Greece that is Mediterranean side. So it's on the water. And, I've always seen all these pictures, and it's actually a porn that I remember watching, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of a good story. Like they always have crappy storylines, and nobody can act, right? Because you don't have to act. Like you just do what you do. But this one was actually done pretty well. I'm pretty sure it was a porn, but it may have been an actual movie that I just can't remember. But I remember this woman walking along those buildings, those white, brilliant buildings along the coast, and she's wearing like this sheer material, and the wind is blowing, but it's not blowing too hard. So I want to go to Greece and stay in one of those white buildings and have like a really amazing romance with, sheer linen clothing, and you can just see silhouettes and outlines and stuff, and palm fronds and grapes and dick.
Okay, all right. So, I'm surprised that they made a movie that was original because usually they steal Hollywood movies like Beverly
Yeah.
Hills Copulator or Lethal Weapons. I don't know. No, no, I've just read. I went and looked up a funny list of porn names based on movies, and I could not believe I was laughing my butt off at some of these names.
What is your porn name? Because, okay, so from what I heard, it's supposed to be the name of your first pet. So, pet when you were going dog or something when you were growing up, and the street you live on.
Then I would be Dinky North. That's terrible. I had this huge dog named Dinky. How funny is that?
Dinky North?
Yeah, Dinky was one big ass dog. Like you couldn't keep him up chained. He would break these big chains. And I was like, wow, I love that dog. He protected me from the bully kid that tried to chase me around the yard. He would always scare that kid off. And yeah, he was
Dinky.
Dinky North. So what would be yours?
Oscar Highland.
Oscar Hyde. Oh my God. What was I was
Dinky.
joking around with a friend of mine who said I, I was he said something like I was writing some stories and he goes, I like the pen name. But, I said that's cool. He goes, you ever thought about like having another pen name? I said, not unless I change genres and start writing erotica. And he goes, what would you be? And I thought about it for a second. I was like, Craven Moorhead, spelled with a K.
There you go.
But who would take me seriously if I wrote under that name?
Probably a lot. I think, if you spell it with a K, Yeah, Moorhead is an actual last name. There are people with those
True.
last
That's
names.
true.
Actually, it was one of our recruiters, funny story. One of our recruiters on the network, we had our national meeting. This had to be like 2000, I think it was 2019. And he's an older gentleman and he was soon to retire from the network. So he was like just laying it all out. And it was later at night, but I always try to keep an eye on everybody, just make sure nobody gets too drunk and lost and whatever. So I was babysitting a little bit and I was sitting at the bar drinking a glass of wine. He comes over and he just starts talking. And he said, yeah, my wife, she's a nurse. She's no longer in practice right now. She's retired and we do this and we do that. We travel. And he said, but I really kind of liked when she took my name when we got married. And then she became a nurse. And I just giggled even harder. And I said, okay. And he said, because she was Nurse Moorhead. Everybody had to run around the hospital saying, oh, Miss Nurse Moorhead is
Nurse
needed in room.
Moorhead. Nurse Moorhead. That's hilarious.
Yeah, but that's his actual last name. So
I guess some people could get away
realistic.
with it. I'll just keep sticking to what I'm writing because I'm sure I'm not very good at the other, but probably not at all. So I've got another interesting place here, Stonehenge.
Huh. Okay.
It's mysterious, It's
Yeah, it is. I don't know. There's something about that where I'm just like,
but the real,
uh,
but when you think about it, all the English pubs around there,
yes.
yeah,
Now that's a trip. Stonehenge pub crawl. That's an event.
that,
And then let's go back to Stonehenge and sit there all night trying to figure out which, conspiracy theory is right about how they got here.
yeah, drinking beer the whole night,
That's right.
and then when I get back to,
Summoning the aliens.
and then when I get back to America, I make my own brand of beer and call it Stonehenge. Stonehenge's
That's right.
Revenge.
Stonehenge's revenge. Yeah, you would sell out.
I might. Did I ever tell you I
Mhm.
brewed my own beer one time? I had my own brand name. Now, I didn't market it because I couldn't, but a friend of mine who's now one of the beer masters in Cincinnati, he used to make home brew. And not just from those Mr. Beer kits. He would go down to Listerman's. This guy was a lawyer. Listerman was, Mr. Listerman. He quit at the peak of his law career to open up a beer supply store. He loved beer that much. So he would get all these great ingredients. And we would go and he would like have a kit for you, but it was like the really high end stuff. And he would have instructions on how he brewed it. And then you could do it, tweak it however you wanted to, or change up the different kind of yeast or whatever you got. So Mark would walk me through this whole scenario. And he's like, all right, now go over there and get that. Now, what kind of beer do you want? And he goes, now, how much alcohol content do you want? And I'm like, so I said, I want to brew it for taste. Like whatever alcohol content comes out of it, fine. He goes, that's a great idea. Just, you can brew for high alcohol content, but it's not always the best tasting stuff. So I got my own labels. It looked like that old lion, like you would see on an English pub, right? That old
Mhm.
graphic lion, like Lowenbrow or something. And I called it Schwangruber's Own Pax Americana. And I had labels and I bottled these up and I gave them to friends. And it was an English pale ale and it tasted really good. He had his own beer making equipment. He had his own refrigerator that was specifically for fermentation, where you could control the temperature and all that.
Wow.
And I learned godliness next to cleanliness because if you get any germs in that stuff, you're gonna get sick. So everything had to be like swabbed out, cleaned out with alcohol, and just pristine. And
Wow.
you were sweating buckets making beer. But by God, when you drank some when it was done, like I would let them set for about 6 weeks before I would crack one open, let it give time to ferment. And we would test the alcohol content. I would usually get about 4.25, something like that. So that's not
Okay.
bad. Not bad for a beer.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, thanks to like some
Wow.
really, really premium beer that you sent me for my birthday, there's some kick-ass alcohol content in some of that. And that is some
Oh, yeah.
tasty stuff. There
What's the
was
highest alcohol content that you've seen so far?
in these beers,
Yeah.
8.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was
Mhm.
yeah, the lager, it was really good. And
Mhm.
now they had to delay the July delivery because it said the heat. They didn't want it to like mess with the beer. They don't want to skunk your beer basically when you get it. So the next one
Right.
comes in August.
Right.
So it's the 25th. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to my next batch of beer.
That's awesome.
I got a little buzz from these beers and
Good.
get a buzz, your mind
Uh,
wanders. It's a good time. And not only that, but like I touched base with my inner Hemingway and decided to like write a little bit while I was drinking. Always good, always good. So I have this
Good, clean writing.
good clean writing, and I have a do a collection of short stories from all these damn writing prompts I've been doing for a year. I've got 10 of them
Mhm.
together that I'm going to expound on and release it out in Kindle sometime this fall before the other book I have comes out.
Oh, how
So
cool. All right. What's the other book called?
um, I'm going to call it Neon Crazy.
Neon. Is it within the Gonzo Chronicles?
No, it's not a Gonzo book at all, but I do have some short stories called Tales from the Dick Side that are all about like short stories about Gonzo with Barry Dick and his two associates and
Hmm.
all that. Because like some of these writing prompts, I just like, just tell a dick story. I'll write another dick story. So I can get another dick book out sometime soon. And
Sounds
um,
like so dirty, like you're talking about something else.
well,
Get
I
a
know
dick
because
book
it's like
out.
for those interested in listening, I have two dick books already on Amazon and my third dick book underway. And then some short stories about Dick, Barry Dick. So
You're triple dick.
I don't know. So anybody with you need your dick fix, it's coming. I'm working on it. That's a bad choice of words right there, wasn't it?
Well, you know what? A lot of women will be like, yes, I need my dick fixed for this fall. Yes,
All right.
please.
So add that to your list.
Okay.
Alderwood's next dick release. And that's so terrible. Oh my God.
So let's see. The other place I want to go to is Portugal on the coast to see the cliffs and the beaches, but all the beaches are topless. So that works for me. Topless sunbathing in Portugal.
Portugal is a great choice. Um, what is the name of the islands off the Azores?
Yes.
That would be an
Yeah.
interesting trip out there. But I don't know how
Mhm.
that might be quite pricey out there. But Portugal, yeah, that's I've seen pictures of Portugal and even back in the mountains, that place looks absolutely gorgeous.
It does.
Um, and it's really a I don't know how touristy it is, but I hope it's not because if you go somewhere, I kind of want to experience what they're like locally. I don't want to. I can go find a McDonald's anywhere here if I went overseas. I don't want that shit anywhere near me. You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like going to Myrtle Beach and like everything is a tourist trap there, or
Right, right, exactly.
Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg where people go. Like everything's a
Mm-hmm.
tourist trap, and I really don't like that. I'd rather drive down to like Maggie Valley in North Carolina where it's really quiet and um yeah, somewhere down there.
Yeah, it
Or
is nice and quiet over there. And they have some cute little ski slopes in the wintertime. Maggie Valley's nice. It's always been priced pretty well too. I mean, I haven't been there in forever, so I don't know at this point, but
yeah, so yeah, Portugal's a great choice. What else is on your list?
let's see. Oh, I do want to go see the pyramids in Egypt.
That was on
Definitely.
mine too.
And yeah, but I want to embrace the culture since being a woman, you're supposed to have the hijab and the long dress, to where you're covered. So I'm that's one fully clothed place
And you
for
probably have to
me.
be pretty well behaved over there. I don't think you probably can't go into a bar and like light one up, tear one on for the ages. But
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
would I'd get on a plane as soon as I'm done there and fly to the next place where I could have fun. But
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
definitely.
pyramids are definitely on my list too. Um, here's one of those old world mystic places, but Machu Picchu, Peru.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that would be good.
That would be kind of cool. That'd be a hell of a hike there. But yeah, just kind of like a pilgrimage of like the mystic stuff. That would be kind of really kind of cool, especially if it was like rather warm and misty and rainy.
Mm-hmm.
That would be
Mm-hmm.
great. Um,
That would be. That would be. I definitely want to go to, even as a little kid, I remember looking at the South American map, thinking that Chile, however you want to call it, um, has to be so beautiful with the Andes Mountains that runs, down that side of South America. And so I've always been interested in going, but you never really hear too much out of it. And I'm not really sure if that's because it's not very populated or it's not very safe. So I don't know, maybe Costa Rica, but
well,
I don't know. Do you know anything about that? I
I
wonder if
don't
it is
really.
safe to go there.
I know a lot of the Central American countries are rather dangerous right now, especially with all the migrant caravans coming through and
Hmm.
human trafficking, crap like that. I don't know about Chile, but I should probably learn more about that because I've been interested in it. But Argentina also
Hmm.
seems like that would be kind of a nice little interesting place to kind of immerse in some culture.
I just pulled it up on Google and it looks like it's just not very populated because there's all kinds of stuff about tourism. Chile's finest tours. It'll take you to Torres del Paine National Park, Valley of the Moon, um, all kinds of places. But it's sort of like the Rockies, but on steroids and a little bit
Yeah.
colder. So
Um, yeah, you definitely have to bundle up down there, I would think.
I think that
But I
would be
guess
beautiful.
as far as the population on South America, probably everybody's in Brazil. Rio, let's
Right.
have some fun. Um,
Right.
that would be an interesting place. You know what? It would have been fun to have been down there during the Summer Olympics when they had it last
Hmm.
time. They had a really great opening and closing ceremony. I thought was really good. A little
Yeah, they
different,
did.
but it was good. It was a little risque, but I didn't mind that so much.
Yeah.
China had a really good opening ceremony. Have you watched any of the Olympics, by the way?
I have, and it's been a little bit of a struggle this year. It seems like there's a lot of hot topics that they keep pressing the button on. So, I didn't see the opening ceremony. I've heard about the opening ceremony, and then I've heard them explain, well, that's not exactly what we were trying to portray. And then I've heard, the Christian views on what they think. So it just seems like there's a lot of politics that keep swarming into
Yeah. Don't ruin the.
sports. And,
Yeah, they just got to
and
stop
it's
ruining
like,
the games.
yeah, like can sports just be sports and honor these athletes that dedicate their entire lives to getting prepared and getting in shape and being the very best that they can, giving up their childhoods because a lot of these kids they have to start when they're 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
They're starting with an Olympian trainer at that age. So the sleepovers and running around and just being a kid, they don't have that because they've decided, between them and their parents, they've decided that this is something that we're going to do. We're going to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, some 16-year-old kid decides that, oh, I want to play, such and such in the Olympics. No, I mean, they started 10 years before that. So,
Yeah. It's
uh, you know,
a lot of people say they're going to boycott it, but I didn't like the opening ceremony, but I'm not going to not watch these athletes that train so hard. So I watched some of the girls' gymnastics. They did really well.
they did.
I watched archery. I watched these women archers, and I was blown away. I was just up early and like, what's on, and I saw these archers, and America had this little 21-year-old girl. She's barely 21, and you could tell she was shaky, but she kept hitting like the center of the bullseye would be a 10, and then the next ring out be a 9, and then an 8 until she was hitting
Mhm.
9 and 10s. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, they're only like what, 25, maybe 35 yards. No, 76 yards. This girl's hitting like
Wow.
9 and 10s. And she went pretty far, but like this other lady beat her. But she was so excited. And yesterday morning, I saw this Australian girl. This is a high jump, and there you got to jump the bar and like with your back over it, and then land on the mat. She was in for the gold, like the gold or silver. So she was playing in that round. They were competing in that round. She was so excited. You could not. wipe that smile off her face. And she was in that arena, and I was like, that's so cool. I'm happy for her. I hope she wins this thing. And she was competing against a
Yeah.
girl from Ukraine. But she had just started like smiling and looking around at the audience and started clapping and got them all clapping in unison with her so she could do her little, run up to the thing, and they were all cheering. She really got the crowd into it. She was just having the time of her life. I'm like, I'm glad she won a medal. Yeah, she
Yeah.
probably trained really hard and was, who knows if you're ever going to make it back. But that was so cool.
Right.
But no, I
Right.
had
I
fun.
mean, I think it's an anomaly if you're able to go to the Olympics more than once. But yeah, it's such an amazing, incredible feat to be able to do that, because there's a lot of other people before them that were on the same track, and you get one injury that's just the wrong injury to have, and you're out. So, but it's been interesting. I have watched we were watching swimming. We've watched some boxing. We were watching some of it, especially in Africa. We were watching it because there really isn't much on TV. And but we wanted to watch to support America also and see how they
Yeah.
were doing and check in, watch some soccer. But it's been a little controversial. I mean, we've had one of the girls, she was kicked out because she was sneaking around after hours with her boyfriend. So they put her on a plane and sent her back. And it's like, oh man. But one of the most interesting things that I saw about it, I was reading a write-up about each country, what do they get for a gold medal, a silver medal, or a bronze medal? And it's really interesting because you look at some of the countries, and there's one of them, it was a Slavic country. And it wasn't Russia, but I think it was one of the smaller countries around Russia. They get, for a gold medal, they get a 3-bedroom apartment. And then for silver, they get a 2-bedroom apartment. And for bronze, you get a 1-bedroom apartment. And, like America, I think the highest payout was 37,000. But then there was another country, and I believe this was an Asian country, and it was something like 200, 300, 400,000. So it was really interesting. If anybody wants to Google that really quickly, there's many lists out there that are easy to find that tells you by country what you get if you bring home a medal.
And speaking of shot put,
yes, speaking of shot put,
out in Asia, there's the Maldives, and that's kind of on my bucket list. I mean, I've seen these pictures on Instagram forever. Those huts out there where you walk down the wooden planks into your hut. You have glass floors, so you can be standing there and looking down at like fish swimming under you. And it's so clear. That to me just looks like you need like 2 books and somebody to talk to, and then like you're set for a month. Like,
yeah,
how cool would that be?
that's a cool spot. It's a long flight, but that's a cool spot.
Yeah, that's why you need a month, because I'm not coming back in a week, because I'm just getting over jet lag probably at that point.
Yeah, I think I would country hop. I would totally like fly to one spot, stay there a couple of days. I'd need more than a month. I'd stay there, like a week, and then I'd fly to the next spot, stay there for a week, and then get to Bali.
That would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, just I always thought those glass floors were the coolest damn things, those coolest pictures.
Yeah,
And
they are.
so anyway, yeah, so
Yeah.
that's on there. Here's one. It's kind of a road trip kind of thing, but I want to drive cross country to Area 51. I want to stand right there at the sign till the guys come off the hill, and then book it out of there and go straight to Roswell.
Cool.
Just
Okay.
just for the adventure of it, because they have that little alien there at Roswell you can stay at. There's a museum there, just because it's so weird, and the road trip itself would be the fun part. But just to get a picture like next to that Area 51 sign, would be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool, And I wonder how long you could hang around in your car there before those guys that come off the hill and start threatening you with guns.
Oh God, I have no idea. I do remember when I was driving home with my daughter from Los Angeles back to Georgia, we passed signs for Roswell. And it's interesting because on
Cool.
the highway, there's like aliens everywhere. It's like, turn here for the alien museum, turn here for the alien buffet, turn here for the alien hotel. And I'm like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
wow. And then a little bit further, I asked her if she wanted to see any of that. She's like, no, I'm not really interested. But a little bit further, you could go see the craters.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. So we got off the highway, and then you took this totally flat, straight road, one lane each direction, perfectly paved, like nobody else had ever been on there. And you could see for miles in every direction, and you were the only ones on the road. And I'm like, okay, this is a Twilight Zone moment. So, and you drive for miles and miles and miles. And then finally we got close to the craters, and we turned down this little dirt road, and we were blocked by cows in the road. So all these cows and the little calves and the bulls and stuff, they were just sort of looking at us like, we got visitors.
That's awesome.
Finally made it around these cows and got up to where you could go through, I mean, huge gates. It had to be 20 feet high fencing. And you'd have to get onto the other side of the fencing to be able to see it. And they had just closed. It was like 5 minutes after 5, and they closed at 5. So we didn't get to see the craters. But from what I understand, it's something really interesting to see, because with it being so flat out there, those craters make such a impact of like, wow, this was a lot of force for it to leave such a deep crater like that. And then, then all the conspiracy theories of, was it this, was it that, was it really just a meteor, was it really, was it aliens, was it yeah, so that was
I
that was
always
cool.
wondered. I always wondered what it was with the aliens. Like they had such an ass fetish. Like why? They're always doing the anal probes. Like every
Oh
time they
yeah.
mutilate a cow, the ass is gone from the cow. It's like, dude, leave these cows' asses alone. And like, why do they have to anal probe anybody they abduct? I never really got that.
I don't know.
Dude, that's why, like, when I wrote the first Dick book, I was the girl who got abducted in the end. Like they
In
brought her
the end.
back, right? And she was like, she got abducted in the end. And they said, "What if they try the anal probe?" And it's like, "Don't worry, she's wilder than they are." And anyway, that's why they brought her back. She got a hold of their probe, and anyway, yeah, fun stories from the Hotel Dick. That could be like another book name, the Hotel Dick. Buried dash that dot Barry Dick.
I'll tell you what though, Middle USA is really weird. It's just weird. On that same trip, we were trying to find a hotel. Like I never knew how far we were going to get that day, so I didn't book hotels as we were coming across the country. I was just going to stop and see if they had a room. They had a room. If not, we kept driving. And so I was so tired. I started, dozing off a little bit, or feeling like I was going to doze off while I was sleeping. It was already night. It was misting. She was asleep in the passenger seat, and I'm like, I've got to pull over. So I saw these signs for a university up ahead. So I thought, okay, this is going to be a good place just to find hotel, motel, whatever. And lightning struck as I'm driving the car, and I'm turning into this potholed parking lot of any scary movie that would show like a motel that
Yeah,
you're definitely going to get murdered and hacked up in. And I remember it to this day. So does she. I hit a pothole, and she wakes up and she goes, "No, Mom, no, we're not staying here. Turn around." And we look up, and there's this guy coming out of his motel room, and he's just standing there. And she's like, "Go." And I'm like, "But I'm falling asleep." She's like, "We're not staying here."
you'll be
So I
sleeping
got
on the
back on
side of
the
the road.
highway.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I got back on the highway, and I'm like, okay, there's got to be another hotel because there's a university around here. There's got to be another one. And sure enough, there was. And this was big, and it was active, and it said it had a casino. So we pull over and we get into the hotel, we check in, the rooms are really nice. Everybody's really nice there. And we thought, okay, let's go down to the casino. They had a restaurant. We'll get something to eat. No big deal. As we're going back around by the front desk, across from the front desk are the elevators. And next to the elevator is a long hallway. We turn and we see this security guy, cop, like he wanted to be a cop, but he peeked at hotel security. So he's wearing his, security outfit, like he has extra badges that he had pinned on there. And he is coming around the corner like a fat chick on roller skates. I mean, he is on that side of 1 foot. You could hear as he's trying to get to that elevator so fast. And so he goes up the elevator and we're like, we'll just let him go. Big deal. And all of a sudden I start hearing a phone conversation of the girl behind the desk. She's on the phone with police. And she's like, yeah, he's naked. And he says that he's not going to leave. And I'm like, oh, there's a naked man loose in this hotel.
Oh my
So
God.
now all of a sudden, me and my daughter are listening, and she had to be about 14 or 15 at the time. And we're listening to what the heck's going on. Apparently, there was a man who was naked, and he must have mental health issues. He has taken over the entire 8th floor of this hotel. Wow. Yeah. So what do? We get on the elevator and we press 8. We're going to see what's going on.
So business has picked up at this hotel. This is funny. Oh my God.
The elevator climbs and it gets to the 8th floor. The doors slowly open and there's a police officer saying, no, not this floor. And he reaches his hand in, doesn't even look at the panel of buttons. He reaches his hand in and just starts pushing buttons so the elevator will close and we'll go back down.
Oh my God.
Hear this guy and they're talking. They're like, I'm not handcuffing him. Well, I'm not handcuffing him. Dude, he's naked. Well, I'm not going to wrestle him to the ground. Are you going to wrestle him to the ground? It was hilarious. So that's middle America. That's my experience.
Wow. That's like being down somewhere in New Orleans, somewhere in Louisiana. That sounds like something would happen in Alabama. Right around. That's pretty wild. That's a good story. That's a short story if you ever decide to write one. The naked jabroni.
Yeah, right.
The naked alien. There you go. Oh my God.
Naked alien.
That's there you go. Yeah.
Naked alien.
With the anal probe.
Do you have anything else on your list?
I do. I got a couple.
With
right. One is, I know this is kind of lame, but I would kind of like to take one of those old paddle boats, those big ships, and go down the Mississippi to New Orleans from Mark Twain's home in Minnesota.
Okay.
Like just boat the Mississippi. It was like one of the most iconic things people would do, the creation of our country. So I thought, hey, that'd be kind of a cool one. But here's kind of a weird, like, even though I know I've got like the Maldives and glass floors stuck in my head, this is kind of weird. Like this is an event, not really a place. I want to pick an unsolved crime and partner up with somebody and like go on a road trip trying to solve this mofo. Like crime writers.
Let's do it.
And that would be like, to me, that would be fun, kind of risky. Maybe you don't know if you're going to uncover a rock and, that the police didn't and piss off the wrong person. But it would be one hell of an adventure to pick some strange unsolved crime.
I'm there. What you doing next week? Let's do it.
Solving crimes. Changing the world. That's what we're doing.
That's right.
But no, that to me seems like something that would be totally cool to do. Even if if you want to write about it, that would be a fun website where like 2 investigators go out and that's what they do. They write on their website and sell ads and shit. Just like a online magazine about the true crime, the crimes, unsolved crimes that they've investigated and what they found. Like people love those shows.
Would you be Detective Dinky?
I don't know if I would want to be Dinky. If my alter ego Barry Dick could come out, that would be all right. And then
Detective Dick.
Detective Dick. Here's Dick. Dick the Dick.
What would my name be?
I don't
Detective.
know. What was the funny one? Sandy Nipples. Your old
Detective
character. You could
Nipple.
dig out your old Jersey character, Sandy Nipples. That was a when did you film that? That was a long, long time ago. You did those comedy sketches, wasn't it? It was probably
That was in the beginning. Yeah,
6, 7 years ago.
2017, 18.
Hmm.
Yep. Oh, that was weird because your bottle's green. You've got a green screen going on. So you
Oh,
were just
well,
drinking a whole bunch of nothing.
yeah, I'm trying to I've quit soda, so I'm drinking like zero sugar Canada Dry. Something
Uh-huh.
so I don't have to drink a bottle of water every time I want something to drink. Because water gets
Do
a
you
little
like water?
I drink a ton of water. But
You know,
sometimes
I
you just want to taste something else. I don't know.
yeah, I'm totally satisfied with water. And there's so many people, of course, water flavoring, like I don't live under a rock. I know how many people use the water flavorings, but I just want clean water. And actually, so when we were traveling in Africa, you really can't expose yourself to the water because we're just not used to it, no matter how clean it may be or may not be. There's still, parasites and things that our system just can't handle very well. So I got Life Straw water bottles. And that was crazy because the water out of the Life Straw has no taste, zero taste, because it goes through, such a refined filter that those filters will not only, purify the water so you don't have bacteria and you don't have parasites, but it also removes the microplastics,
See,
which
that's
I
one
didn't
thing I
realize.
worry about is microplastics because I drink a lot of water and we make plastic. I don't know why we switched from like glass bottles at the grocery for things and suddenly
I
started doing
know.
plastics, and now we have to worry about the plastics. If everybody wanted to bring down the price of oil, just stop making everything oil based because that
Right.
can't be good for our system. I'm just rambling now at that, but like I do worry about the microplastics.
I was surprised. Of course, I got them just for the trip. So I was more concerned about water purity of bacteria and parasites, not so much about the plastics. And then I start reading through everything that it filters out, dirt and sand and all, and the microplastics. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even think about that. Um, so yeah, I thought about just like our water here. Of course, we're used to our water, so we can drink tap water. We can drink it out of just a regular refrigerator filter, whatever. But I thought about using it here to try to get away from some of those chemicals, pharmaceuticals,
Yeah,
microplastic, but it has no taste.
I do like a good cold bottle of water, but then like sometimes, like I said, I want to taste something else. You can't drink water all the time.
Well,
And
yeah, and
speaking of,
I'm a 70s baby. So we also like that PVC hose, the fresh
yeah, I know.
hose. There's nothing better than that.
All right, I may just go wild tomorrow and go outside and turn the water hose on, just drink from it for an hour to see who comes over and joins me. I bet the older neighbors would.
They probably would.
To wear my big Gen X T-shirt.
They
I don't have one, but I
probably would.
should get just a big giant shirt that says X. I wonder if people figure it out. Um, yeah, I can do that. I can get a hat with just an X on it. And I don't know, maybe I'll market those through my Barry Dick stuff.
So, how do you get your inspiration for writing your dick books?
I should have a Dick store where people can buy these things. Things that are
Yeah.
like, uh, just funny,
What? Dick,
just fun.
etc. Would that be your
Yeah,
store?
yeah, dicks,
Dick
etc.
all day, dick all day, dick all night long.
That's fun.
Come
Yeah,
see us. We'll dick you up.
that would get a lot of hits. That would probably get a lot of web hits. And then they'll be like, he's selling books and like dick hats and dick shirts. What's going on? You know.
Right.
Um, I don't know. Just I don't know. Anything remotely silly. I try to think of like the dumbest, silliest thing I can do. Now the third dick book I'm working on, it's takes place in California, and I totally make fun of like the woke culture.
Mhm.
Oh, I go after it hard. Like I'm politically incorrect as hell. And so anyway, I'm having fun with that. So anything I could throw in there with like the trans population, so Dick finds himself by accident on a porn set because he has to question somebody about a house that's haunted. They brought him to California to solve a haunted house problem. He's like, I know I'm into weird stuff, but I don't do haunted houses. And then he has to stay the night in one. And they don't want him to get rid of the ghosts. He's not a Ghostbuster. They just want to find out who the hell this one angry bitch is that will not leave. She won't leave without her dog, and she's some sort of like B actress from the 20s or 30s, just before, when silent films were at its peak, before you had voice. So that's what he's got to try to find out. Who the hell is this woman? Who stole her dog? So I can give this crazy woman some peace to leave everybody alone, because they want to leave this as a haunted attraction without that crazy bitch. That's the whole that story. And but he's also out there like trying to get his soul back too, because it's called soul searching. Because in the second one, he accidentally sells his soul to the devil at the crossroads when he's drunk, and he has to. So the shyster lawyer he has to find out in California actually works the deals for the devil and does the contracts. He comes to find out from this other lawyer in New Orleans. So the lawyer in California is named Avenelli instead of Avenatti. So I really make fun of the whole Stormy Daniels Avenatti thing. So just stuff like that from the culture that just pops into my head. It's like I got to somehow make fun of that, and I have a great Dick character to do it with. So,
all right, for everybody who just watched that, please rewind it. Every time you say Dick, take a drink.
That's a drinking game right there. Every time you hear Dick on this show, take a drink.
Take a drink. That's right.
You're so funny. Yeah, that's a brand new drinking game. So anyway, yeah.
Dick, do you have a debate drinking game for the debate coming up between Trump and Kamala?
No, I don't, but I should.
Oh, we should. What are going to be our key words? Trump is always like, it's big. It was really big.
Every time I hear the word huge.
I mean, really huge. It's like, what would be hers?
Every time she laughs. An uncomfortable laugh. Oh, we'd be soused in the first 40 minutes. But I'm in. I'm totally in.
When is the debate?
September.
Can we do a live Gonzo debate edition? And make it a drinking game? Yeah.
We got to, or Gonzo or Cooper, whatever you want to do. We'll do a drinking game watching this. Probably ought to do a Gonzo. I don't want the two of us to get too much trouble. Like they got drunk. They talked about Dick and the Harris and the debate. And I heard the word huge a bunch of times. That Dick wouldn't stop saying huge. Like people would make fun of us.
You know what? We're going to have to see where we physically are. Because if we could do that where we're sitting in the same room.
That'd be a trip.
That would be so funny. Okay. All right. So let's put that into the works.
Yeah, it's going to be, I can't wait for that. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know about you, but like, I trust like Mexican water more than I would a Harris administration. I hope that doesn't happen.
It's just so odd though. It's like everybody, she had the lowest approval ratings. What was it, like 2? And and now everybody's like, oh, I'm with her. And I get it's a likability contest. At the end of the day, for the majority of Americans, it's really just a popularity contest. And it's a popularity contest between two people that are not likable. So, one of them, for business structure. I mean, I have businesses, so I'm going to be looking at the guy that's for keeping us financially solvent and, keeping the world not thinking that we're weaklings so they don't attack each other, just for that. And in my opinion, I think Trump is the one that's really going to sort of quiet things down because he is obnoxious and he is a hothead and you never know exactly what he's going to do.
No, you don't.
And then her word salad is not going to fix any of it.
One of the things I have a real problem with her about, and there's like a serious moment here, it's like she keeps saying this like unburdened by what has been phrase. And I don't know if you've looked that up. Um, it is actually a communist uh, phrase. Her father was a communist. He was a professor of economics, and he was a card carrying communist. And I'm sure he raised her to be a good little communist. So that phrase was from a speech that somebody had used that was passed around for years at communist rallies. So it actually has some sort of communist meaning. And I saw like it. I don't. It was one of those like conservative talk show guys. I don't know if it was oh, what's his name that we were talking about earlier, Shapiro. But on
Hmm.
Twitter, they posted like the explanation of this, and I read this. I'm like, that is scary. Like she's not dumb when she says that. She knows exactly where, and it's something her father would have read because it was from the early 20th century. So yeah, I'm not. I just don't like commies. I don't know what it is. I just don't like commies. I'm like
Well,
pro
because
Rambo.
our country is not found under the pretense of anything communist. It's to be of equal parties. It's to be, freedom. If
That's
you
why we have a
just
Bill of
look at,
Rights. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. That's how it was written in the beginning. It was to get away from the oppression of communism. It was not to just find new land and create it all over again.
yeah.
So, but we have generations upon generations, and half of our generation, everybody younger than us, they don't understand that.
They weren't taught it in school, and that's sad
Right.
because you should teach like all history. I'm not, not don't censor any of it. We have bad history in our country. Teach it. Like, it's okay. It's a teaching moment. Don't tear down
Mhm.
statues. Take kids there and teach them what happened. It's a
Right.
teaching. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a little too right wing. Maybe I'm not. Maybe some of the people on the left are just so far left they're laying down.
Hmm.
And I don't know. Laying down sounds fun. I didn't sleep much last night. So laying down sounds kind of relaxing. Makes me think of Maldives. I'm gonna go lay down in Maldives in my mind with some ambiance music, those binaural beats.
I
Those are
know. I know. I would just, I'd lay down, probably face down, looking into the ocean, totally naked, to see the fish's reaction. That's what I want to do
I wonder what they
if
would
I was
do.
in one of those huts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm glad there wouldn't be like holes in the glass because I wouldn't want like something like trying to come up and like look at me like I'm bait or something. That would be painful. Um,
Well, that's kind of what I'm curious. Like, are they even going to notice?
I
You're
don't
like,
know.
oh, whatever. It's a weird human thing, weird land animal. What is that land animal doing?
But yeah, I don't know. Maldives, I don't know. I've seen way too many pictures, but they're beautiful. So tell us what's coming up on Cooper Show. What do you got coming up?
I have a couple of good shows coming up. I'm actually looking at possibly adding a few shows. I'm sure everybody who follows me in the shows knows that last year, the show was only running for a couple of months, Mondays. Um, and now I have an opportunity to maybe expand that because the little guy is off to kindergarten. So Goddess is, doesn't have to chase after a toddler anymore. So first time in 5 years that I do get my schedule back. And so we just went back to school today, and we have two in middle school and a senior in high school. So pretty soon, my schedule is just going to open up more and more and more. So with the economy as it is right now, recruiting is not booming for the second year. So I am putting a little bit more time into the companies, which is Cooper Studios and the construction company. And that's, you got to do what you got to do where the money is. You know what I mean? So
Pump out as much
that's what we're
content as you
doing.
can. Yeah, pump out as much content as you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I need to take that
Yeah.
advice and like start pumping out more Gonzo because I've been languishing on that so bad. Because it's a lot easier when you have like, a co-pilot when you're talking about things as opposed to just like coming on and talking about something. I don't
It
know how the hell
is.
guys like Limbaugh did that for all those years. Like,
Yeah, and he did such a great job of it. I mean, but you look at him, you look at Ben Shapiro does it, you look at uh, Andrew Clavin does it. A lot of those Daily Wire people do, and that's just what they do. And there's so many other people out there that do, and it's enjoyable. You can listen to an hour and a half of talking when it's educational, when you're getting something out of it. So
Yeah. So we'll have to pick some cool mysteries for some Gonzos and
totally, we're gonna
some
have to do that debate thing. I'm serious.
that does sound fun. There's so many games you could play during that crazy debate that could
Oh my
either
God.
like get you drunk or get you in so much trouble. It'd be awesome. So, awesome stuff.
Well, see, and that would be sort of like I'm trying to think of the right words. It's not like breaking the glass ceiling or whatever. That would be a new side of me that people have not seen on camera. Would be a little bit liquid loose. It's a yes, it's a much more free personality. So very, I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter. And I appreciate that when I drink because
so
I'm not one of those people that's ever going to bow up to anybody and try to start a fight or be mean and nasty. I'm not that one.
well, we've
I'm more
threatened
of like, oh, hug
well,
me, kiss me. You're so great.
we've
But
threatened a drunken show, but we haven't done one yet. We've had some drinks while
I
we've done, but we
know,
haven't been buzzed.
I
Like,
know, I haven't. We haven't.
so if we get liquid loose here, one, I don't know, man, maybe Friday. I don't know if you're not busy. Um,
Possibly.
yeah, we'll find a crazy mystery because it's going to be.
But I'll tell you
I'll probably need
what,
to blow some steam off Friday.
a debate, that debate, uh, yeah, that debate and make it a drinking game and it's shots, we would not be going anywhere.
Oh, I know. I'd have to chain myself to the door or something so I go wandering around. I'd be like Biden wandering around somewhere without knowing where I'm at. It would be terrible.
It's so
Shuffling around
sad,
drunk.
isn't it?
Yeah, that
It's
is.
just, I mean, it's beyond funny. It's like not funny anymore because it's just so sad. And it makes his wife look terrible.
But you know what?
Jill looks like a
Yeah.
monster.
And you know who else? I think it makes Kamala Harris look like a monster. She's known this for the entire administration and lied to everybody about it. But yeah, it does make her look horrible because it looks like elder abuse on her part. Parade
Oh,
this guy out
totally.
there.
But Kamala is all on board because I think she hoped that he'd drop dead, have an accident, or not be president a long time ago. I think she figured in his first year, it would be President Harris. It wouldn't
Yeah.
be President Biden. So that's really what I think. I think she's been holding out for this. And I mean, let's face it, US politics anywhere really, it's not friendly. It is not friendly fire.
Ask Trump. Yeah. I mean, he
Yeah.
took one to the ear. At least they
Right.
didn't mess up that coif, that gorgeous hair of that man's, right?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Don't get started on the comb over.
That's so funny.
It's like, really, you have so many people around you. You have your gorgeous children around you. Nobody said, Dad, get rid of the comb over. Like, you cannot speak to public outside where there could be a chance of wind with a comb over.
Do you remember that scene from Kingpin, that bowling movie, and it had what's the guy's name from Ghostbusters in it? The anyway, he was bowling and he had that weird comb over, and toward the end he was like fist pumping, and his hair was like way off to the side. That reminds me of what's going to happen one day with
Who
a big
was
gust of wind.
that?
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
Yeah, that's gonna happen to Trump on stage one day. That hair is gonna just be like everywhere, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, I didn't know he had a ferret on his head. That thing's alive.
Yeah,
Who knew?
right?
Who knew? Who knew?" But everybody, make sure you check out Caffeinated Cooper Show, and you're on YouTube, and check
Yes.
her out on Facebook. Follow her on Instagram. You'll love the photos over there. All kinds of cool African stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And tune back in. We'll talk about another mystery and maybe be buzzed.
Sounds good.
All right. May the force be with you, Liz. Bye.
Thanks. You too.